Listen, we are back. I told y'all I would bring out somebody successful. I said his name was Agent Fee. That's what he goes by online. But he is Mr. Phoenix. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I feel great. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling successful. I already told you, I already had a little pre-conversation, and I'm excited to have you here because, like I said, I just feel like everybody needs their own platform just to show the world what they're about. And because I'm also a previous comedian, I know that sometimes people see them jokes and they think that's all you about, and they tell me something funny, and I'm like, nah, we got to tell
Yeah.
people who's behind the comedy. So go ahead and tell the world, who are you? How did you get started? Who is Phoenix?
Man, that's a beautiful question because I feel like that's a question that we all try to answer for ourselves. Who am I? You know
Right.
what I mean? It's really
Yeah.
something I've been focused on, like really intensely this summer is just really getting to know myself.
Mm.
Like outside of everything that I do or everything that I've learned to try to be, like who am I behind all of that? And that's a really hard question to answer. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing a lot of learning about just who we are as human beings, as spiritual beings, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and
Come on.
we're spiritual and physical beings at the same time. So who is that spiritual side is really
Yeah.
what I'm trying to answer
Yeah.
this. Yeah, so I'm learning that part, you know what I mean? But
Okay.
the comedy side of it is like, that just started as wanting to have a creative venture. Cause I live, like you said, in Texas, and like after I graduated college, I went to a small HBCU called Wiley College, and after I graduated from
Okay.
there, moved to
Yeah.
Houston to get my
HBCU.
master's. I
Okay.
played Alpha there too, Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was getting my master's here in Houston in like 2016, and after a couple months of like doing that, going to school and going to work, I just felt myself lacking in some respect. I didn't know what it was, but it was like I need to do something else outside of just going to work and going to school because that's all I thought I was supposed to be able to do, because it's like you move out the house and now it's like it's time to be successful. It's time to go get a job and like live the
Right.
dream, you know what I mean? What you think the dream is, but it was like I need to do something else. So it started as photography. Got tired of that real quick, and I tried to have like a thing where I get online and just talk. Got tired of that real quick because it's like you try everything out till you see what sticks to you. But like this is how I got, led to actually doing comedy. And that was around the time like Vine was real hot and it was just about to die. And I was like, I can do this. I can make Vines. I can make funny videos. So I started doing that. Like I was inspired by I used to watch a lot of YouTube creators like back before everybody was a creator. Like there used to be like 3-person skit groups. I really want to do that, but never got around to doing it. But like fast forward back to 2016, like I said, I just started doing videos and putting them on Vine. Then Vine died, and I was like, well, I'll just start putting them on Instagram and just been going from there.
And I can relate to so much of what you said. Worked in corporate America for like 20 years, retired 3 years ago, and was like, I'm gonna follow the dream. I'm gonna live the dream. And it's been several different journeys. Like you said, just trying to discover who you are. What do you like outside of your constructs, right? So I heard you're like a student, and you're a frat, and you're a son, you're probably a brother. Like when you have all these titles, it's like, who am I? What do I like? What does that look like? How can I do it consistently? And you just try to find yourself, and at the end of the day, you got to enjoy what you're doing, right? So I'm grateful that you're on that journey. I'm on that journey. And again, that's why we're here on this podcast, is just share with people and show people like your journey doesn't have to look one way. It's not one succinct path. It can look several different ways. Well, let's talk about who you thought you would be before you turned into this successful creator, right? Did you have a plan? Like, I want to be a firefighter. Like, did you have a goal and then that changed, or how was your journey?
When I got to college, like I ran track. I got a family of track athletes, so I was in college on a track scholarship, and I wasn't thinking past what I'm gonna do past, like being an athlete. And then like my junior year, my advisor at the time sat down. She was like, "So what you gonna do?" And I was like, "What you mean?" She was like, "When you leave here." I was like, "Oh, I ain't really thought about that," because my major at the time was sociology, and I didn't know what I was gonna do with a sociology degree. Not, no shade on the sociology, but I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. I just picked it. You know what I mean? So she was like, "Yeah, if you don't know what you're gonna do with that, it's probably best not to graduate with a sociology degree." And I was like, "You're right." And then this dude walked in, this professor, this before I pledged, he was an alpha. He was like, you need to change the education and then I'm gonna get you, like on track with all this. And I'm like, okay, so I did. I graduated and I started my career in education. So I taught for 7 years. Like this was last year was my last year teaching. So like, I started in kindergarten and like I was a long-term sub, and then I taught high school in my master's degree track. And then I taught 5th grade for 2 years, and then I taught I was a lead teacher for 8th grade science for 3 years. So my path wasn't necessarily my intentional goal, you know what I mean? I didn't have an intentional goal. I was just, all I knew was I need to get a degree and I need to get a job, and I was like just kind of following, like going with the flow. And like it wasn't like it was bad. Like I enjoyed, what I was doing. Like I feel like in life we have a purpose and we have a passion. I feel like teaching was my purpose, and I feel like it taught me a lot of what I need to know in order for me to have this now formless path. You know what I mean? Because before it was, I need to follow this track to do this. Now is I don't know what to do, but I have all these skills I've learned, from what I was in.
Facts. And you've seen, I did a little substitute teaching on my journey too. Like when I left my job, like I still got to make ends meet, follow this dream, right? And to the educators, thank you for your service, because all those levels, like watching little people who are not grown but growing into themselves, and including those high school kids who are just kind of who they out there, boy. It really helps you hone in on yourself as well, and just really figure out what's next. And I quickly figured out education wasn't for me in that aspect. Okay, I'd rather teach adults. I have a lot more fun teaching adults, and I feel like that's kind of where you are as well. Like that creator, I'm teaching whoever wants to learn, like whoever wants to follow me, whoever is on this vibe, that's the vibe I'm on. So what do you feel like for anybody out there who may be another creator trying to just stay consistent on whatever their path is? Like, what do you feel like has been the biggest challenge for you, personally or professionally?
Personally, the biggest challenge is trusting that I made the right decision. Like trusting that I made the right decision to make this what I'm doing, and unlearning a lot of what I knew to be comfortable, like the things that I knew that made me like feel secure. You know what I mean? Like I knew I had a check coming. I knew like to get up and do this every day. I knew I needed to do this in order to do my job. Now it's just like it's not like that no more. You know what I mean? Like there's no concrete structure, and that's where the trust comes in there though. Like that's where the practice, like, because you really have to practice to be able to do that. So like I'm like now practicing every day, like trust. I'm practicing one step at a time rather than knowing exactly what the destination is. I'm trusting like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be going this way, or I'm supposed to be going that way. Like you messaged me, it was like I've been talking about like I kind of want to be on a podcast, have an interview, and then like it was like, okay, I'm just I'm gonna go with this because I see it's coming for me. Like I feel like things that are supposed to happen for you don't come hard. It's not confusing, like that's what you need to be doing. So it's just more like trusting like that alignment, and like trusting that God is, like period. God is, so I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Because if God made me in his image, then I am, you know what I mean? I don't have to like think past that. Like everything is good. Reducing everything that like I've learned and everything I've come to know from this complicated construct down to its simplest form. Like what do I want from life? Who am I? Where am I going? Like what are the simplest versions of those, or the simplest answers to those questions? Not this complicated math. And that's been the most difficult thing, is just unlearning, and knowing is the most difficult thing. Yeah.
It's unlearning and relearning, right? Like what works. Like I tell people all the time, when you want to be an entrepreneur, like Virginia Power, which is our local electric company, they don't care what your dream is. Okay, the bill's due on the 25th, and sometimes that human side is like, oh, I have to pay a bill, I have to do XYZ, I don't know how. And you start to worry, and like I appreciate now somewhat eliminating worry. And the more I just stay focused on continued outreach daily for like podcast guests or opportunities, the more what I want is coming anyway. So I love that for you, because it's rare to see people who are okay with what they've had to unlearn and relearn. It's so easy to drop into or fall into a depression, or just get sad, or be super anxious about what you think is coming, or what you lost, or what things could have been. Just sit in that. I love that for you. So the challenge is gonna come. It's not always easy, but we're here. So since we're here and you're getting in alignment, everything that's for you is coming to you. I believe that. I speak that for you. What's your greatest dream? What do you want? It doesn't matter where you thought you would be, but where do you actually want to go? What do you see for yourself?
I wanna get in like my Jordan Peele, Donald Glover bag, like how they or like triple, quadruple threats, you know what I mean? Like, cause Jordan Peele is a funny guy, but then he popped out and made a horror movie. Like, I want to lean into my horror bag, and like I want to write horror and like film horror, like actually like write scripts and film it, and like, cause I get like a lot of ideas that I actually integrate into my comedy, and it ends up being like almost like a suspense horror type twist on a comedic video, and it's like, man, I could really lean into actually making the horror part of that. So I want to do that. I want to act in films. Like, I want to like produce music, you know what I mean? I have a lot of ideas I want to put out. Like, I want to like share this stuff with the world, and like just like show that I can be great at all of these things I want to do. You know what I mean? Inspire whoever along the path. That's what we're here for, to like be the best version of ourselves and inspire others to do the same. So like, I feel like that's what or how I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Okay, and I believe that for you. I love that for you. I saw your popcorn video where like these are the things we think about, but rarely do you see it acted out. Like, what are the Colonels thinking before they get popped? And as soon as I saw it, I was like, he could write like a Friday, because like everyone doesn't have that forethought, right? Like that forward thought of just what could be. And so I love that you execute that. And I believe we're gonna see a Phoenix film. I see it out here.
Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Phoenix film, Phoenix the actor, writer of the room, all the things. Like, I love Abbott Elementary. It's like one of my favorite shows. I can see you on a show like that. So I just believe with your reach, anything's possible, and I'm excited for you. And I appreciate you for coming on. We're actually getting ready to close it out, because y'all know this is your favorite bite-sized podcast.